Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Review. If you love this watch, we don't quite have inventory just yet. This is actually a fan video that I'm throwing together because I like the brand and I like its products. But watch this space. Today we're discussing one of the most exciting new independent watch brands in the business. Founded in 2016, launching its first products in 2017, Reservoir Watches of France, manufacturing in La Chaux-de-Fonds, Switzerland, is a Franco-Swiss hybrid that creates complicated timepieces at accessible prices. Now, how many complications? 3. Retrograde minutes, jump hour, power reserve, all automatic winding in a 43mm stainless steel case. Today we're discussing one of the Cars collection watches. They have 3 collections. They have essentially aviation, cars, and marine. It's pretty self-explanatory, and the inspiration, well, I don't really need to tell you that this watch is inspired by vintage sports car gauges because it's clearly designed, it's expressive, it's exuberant, and although it includes all of the basic functions of a watch, nevertheless the reference material is evident. 43mm in diameter on my 16cm circumference wrist. You can see that the watch is one of the larger pieces they sell. Now, their watches are as small as 39.9mm in the Longbridge collection, which is also in the Cars family, but this one 43 by 13mm thick, which actually surprised me. It's thinner than I expected. And then across the wrist, it's 51.4mm, and you can see that the lugs are fairly sharply downturned, so it's a fairly compact 51.4. The spacing between the lugs, a nice modern 22mm, so the watch has a broad and planted stance on the wrist. That's one of the features of contemporary watchmaking, broad lug stances. Now, jumping a little bit closer, you can see that the strap is substantial. It's more than I expected. First, it's not calfskin, which would have a nice nostalgic retro feel in keeping with the dial. It's the more expensive alligator, and there's a lot of it as it's thick cut. You can see it's a sheer side monotone stitch, large rectangular scale, the expensive stuff. There's a wonderful calfskin with almost a suede texture on the bottom. It is very comfortable. Another place where I would have expected costs to be cut, frankly, is the buckle itself, which is not a pin buckle but a trigger actuated double deploying clasp. You can see right here, this is a prototype. It's got a combination of satin and engine turning, but my understanding is that this is a production intent piece. The Reservoir logo on the buckle, on the dial, on the crown, on the case back. A lot going on here. The case is strong. It pays reference and deference to mid-century automobiles on the dial, but I can see a little bit of a nod to the 1963 Hoyer Carrera in the design of the caseband. Vertical satin finish rather than the more conventional longitudinal sweep. I like how the lugs have been broken out from the caseband. Not a sharp step like a Longa, but a little bit of a progressive cant that creates a sharp character line in keeping with that vertical finish. The lugs are quite strong, as is the conical, partially polished bezel. Satin finish outer face, polished conical upper rim, and you can see there's that crown, which is a screw down, 50 meters water resistant with a screw down crown. I can endorse that for surface swimming, not necessarily diving, but you're good for surface swimming. They've got other watches for diving. The dial is nostalgically inflected. You can imagine this particular watch being the gauge of a David Brown era Aston Martin or a Lions era Jaguar or a big Healy with a straight 6. It's gorgeous. Although it looks chalk white on camera, it's actually slightly off-white with a little bit of a creaminess in person. There's a handsome sloping flange outboard, and the sporting tritone was aced. First, I like the upscale appointments, the metal bezel for the power reserve indicator down at 6 o'clock. The fact that there is an applique logo rather than a printed logo, the depth of the dial, and the step of the retrograde hand at center. Now, there are 3 complications here, and as you can see, you get to play with this system. It is wonderfully designed so that you can't break the retrograde by turning it backwards, as you can with so many different watches. They have a patent on that, and you can see that the retrograde system is an absolute joy to watch. The problem with retrograde complications is that they're often wasted on watches that spread the retrograde action over a month, so you're not even going to see it when it's typically used on a date, jumping in the middle of the night on the 31st. And oftentimes, even a retrograde hour hand is just too slow. You're going to miss it. Here, it's the retrograde minute that gives you the ability to watch the action every 60 minutes, or just cut to the chase and play with it. Now, you can see the jump hour is a ton of fun, but so is the power reserve indicator, which is like an automotive fuel gauge down at 6 o'clock. Both the fuel gauge and the jump hour featuring separate metal polished bezels. Another sign that money was spent here. Swiss-made, manufactured in La Chaux-de-Fonds, an intriguing manufacturer and an intriguing set of mechanisms, because the mechanism is a proprietary patented movement. And you can see the case back is an ETA 28242, automatic winding bidirectional, 4 Hz beat rate. Altogether, it's a 35 joule compound movement, with the movement module being designed by Telos SA, also known as the folks who built the Harry Winston Opus 14. So the patrimony, the lineage of the watch is impeccable. 124 parts in the manufacturer 10 joule module. There's a lot of exciting watchmaking going on here. And even though the watch does not have a seconds hand, it does feature stop seconds. You can see the case back with a partial sapphire display. All of this nicely polished. It's a handsome, good-looking movement, and you can see it's a good-looking case back with a pull tab spring bar to easily release the strap. This is more added value. This is the kind of thing you typically see on Chopard, FP Journe, and Patek Philippe. All of this in a watch that you can purchase for under $4,000. And speaking of Patek, in an era when they offer a 2-year warranty, these guys are offering 3. Designed in France, born in Switzerland, this is the Reservoir Cars Collection Supercharged Classic.